Hey, how you doing? This is going to serve a purpose, because the topic of this video, at the time of recording, it's pretty late, it's nearly midnight. I just decided, while I'm playing some ZZZ, I was about to make a video, or start making a video, about reruns of my opinion on them. And then I stumbled across a video, and the reason I got bonus here is because in 2.5, we're getting a whole slew of reruns. We're getting Bonus, Soldier Zero, Astral, Shingi, wherever she is, and a few others. I believe Jane Doe as well. And I was just thinking to myself, are they good to get though? And that's when I stumbled across a YouTube video. I've not seen it yet. We're going to watch it together. And if you haven't already, it's by Average Look Gamer. Now, two things I love about this guy. One, he's also from the UK. So, hey, how you doing? Superiority, am I right? Villainous mustache twirl, cup of tea, all that good stuff. And two, he's one of the more critical CCs in the Zenless Zone Zero space. And the reason I'm going to hold this opinion very highly is because I'm still relatively new. Obviously, I played the game before. I've got certain characters like Evelyn back in 1.5, but I didn't play until recently. So with that in mind, I want to hear his take, because I have my own take in regards to this, where I think reruns are for two things. One, the weapons, if you don't get lucky, which is bound to happen. You can still lose it in Hoyo games. It's a shame, is what it is. And two, if you underestimated how much you might like that character. So, for an example, for me, that would be Orphe and Magus. I'm looking for Orphe and Magus, basically. Yeah. I really want these characters on a rerun, but unfortunately, that time has passed. I believe reruns, or characters in general, you should... Okay, let me bring it back. I'm starting to get off a little tangent here. Long story short, I believe you should pull for characters that you like. Now, yes, getting the must-pull units, or the new barrier units. Now, obviously, getting the new banner units is going to be good in the short term. Maybe in the long term, Miyabe, Yishuan, that kind of stuff. I believe Trigger's another one. Lighter. Just those kind of things. And another thing as well, in which I'm a little bit hesitant on, but also hopeful, ZZZ, the devs themselves have said, hey, we're going to go back, we're going to buff all the units. Like, you see on the screen here, Ellen Joe. I'm pretty sure that's her name. We'll just say Ellen. So with that, I've yapped long enough. That's enough of an intro. Let's get into it and hear what, one of the, in my opinion, the top two creators in ZZZ have. The other one being EO.
Reruns are bait in Zen.
And that's it. That's a good video, everybody. Hopefully we'll catch you on the next one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to Average Look. But seriously.
Zenless Zone Zero. There, I said it, I meant it. I'm gonna represent exactly what I just said in just a moment with some examples. But the TLDR is...
I'm going to assume the example is going to be Jifufu. Now, if you see Jifufu, you think, wow, that was a good story in 2.1. And now we have Dial-In in 2.4. Thankfully, I didn't pull Jifufu because I don't like the character. Which, once again, if you don't like the character, don't pull. No, regardless of if they're good or not. Just what happens, I dodged a bullet there.
Should you pull for reruns as a free-to-play or low-spend player?
Okay, that's important. Hold up. If you're a whale, if you have a lot of money to spend, this video is probably not going to be for you. Or this topic's not going to be for you. However, free-to-play / low spenders, that's a different topic. Okay, I'm a lot more invested now.
No, you should not. And you might be looking at reruns and thinking, hey, maybe I could pick up this character because they're going to help out with X, Y, Z. No, don't even think about it.
That's true. Otherwise, I'd have Astral by now.
It's not worth it. The only reason that you should consider pulling on reruns is if you are waifu pulling. And if so...
Waifu pulling, if you like the
very
character.
based of you.
If you like the playstyle, there's a lot of reasons that go into it. It's not always, hey, pull this must-pull unit right now. It's great for this must-pull have at the time.
But you have to understand the fact that if you're pulling a DPS, there's probably going to be a better DPS option. If you're pulling a stun agent, there's probably going to be a better stun option. And if you're pulling a support option, there will probably be a better support option at some point. If there's one thing that Zenless Zone Zero has taught us...
Is that accurate? Astral or User her over Astral? I don't know enough. Like I said, I'm still pretty new. I don't have all the characters. I can only speak from experience what I've got, and the only one I have experience with, outside of trials, is Dylan.
So far, it's that they are not afraid of scaling the power up or providing us with more specific types of supports and stun agents, and therefore, there'll probably be someone better to do what you wanted to do.
Okay, so just about that, when they said the devs aren't afraid of scaling up. As long as you scale the older units up alongside them, which is what they're doing, it's still pretty shitty to have to do in the first place, absolutely. But it's undeniable that games are going to go down that path. It's just that some do it faster than others, like taking the Bahoyoverse game, for example, Star Royal. But no, thankfully the devs have kind of seen, hopefully have seen the error of their ways. I'm being very lenient on ZZZ. I probably shouldn't be. I should probably be a lot more critical. But right now, they have done pretty good by me. For now. Whether to say that's going to hold up in the future, who knows?
At some point in the future. By that logic, you would never pull anyone. So, look, enjoy
Also
the game,
true.
pull who you want to pull, but I just have to get this off my chest. The development team of Zenless Zone Zero, in the way that they've scaled power, in the way that they have kind of done themselves a disservice with the idea of reruns. Because...
Okay, hopefully he dives into this because like I said, I'm not too sure. I've only started playing now, so I only have the most recent of experiences. In fact, if we look at my own game, I believe if I went to Shiyu Defense, I've only just earlier today, cleared for the first time Shiyu Defense. At least a stable node. Not even attempted this, not even touched this, as you can see there. So I don't have that prior knowledge, which is why I'm glad a veteran like ALG is going through this and explaining it. So far, a really good video.
people are going to still enjoy themselves pulling for the newer characters, but it does mean that pulling for older characters is kind of silly, frivolous.
Okay, yeah, it
waste
is a
of
little
balls, because it's going to cost you the same to pull a rerunning character as it is to
90
pull a
for
newer
new
character.
reruns.
I mean, sure, you could get lucky and stuff, but like in theory, the cost of them is the same.
That's not to mention the, well, in this case, the vengeance, or we'll just say weapons. That's not to say it's like, okay, here's 90 potentially for a new character. I won the 50-50. Yeah, I was not on the guarantee. Now I need the weapon. Now, thankfully, I believe, to the best of my knowledge so far, the Wengens, or the 4-star options in Wengens, are still pretty decent. They're still kind of okay. It's just, it's the same with every game, really, every gacha. It's just, hey, the best in slot is called the best in slot because, believe it or not, shock I know, it is the best in slot. Who knew?
And the rate that they're left behind is just not worth considering pulling for rerun characters. Let's take Evelyn,
Ironically,
for
got
example.
bonus
So
now.
Evelyn is a character that came out back in 1.5,
Which is
and
when
then
I
she
pulled
reran
it.
again in 2.2. And I think Evelyn's a great character. I mean, monkey brain,
Yep,
something
yep,
about
yep,
Evelyn
yep,
just
yep,
does
yep,
things
yep.
to me.
Based.
But as we get deep,
Hold up.
something
gonna see
about
that again.
Evelyn just does things to me.
God
But
damn.
as we get deeper into Zenless Zone Zero, we're seeing that it's not only like a fire DPS that you need, it's a fact that you might need a fire rupture agent. And then, to be honest, as things cycle back into
We got
attack
Minato,
style
don't
teams
forget.
when we get our new Void Hunter, there probably won't be a fire weak enemy for Evelyn to take advantage of the situation. So
True.
Evelyn is going to be left out in the cold, where Banyue is probably going to get a little bit more service because he's a newer agent. And this is something that's going to continue to happen.
Well, going off that logic, though, you've just said there, Evelyn is a fire attack unit. Emphasis on fire. Banyue is also a fire unit. Fire rupture, so maybe he benefits from the rupture tag instead of the fire tag. But to say, hey, here's one fire character who won't do well against non-fire characters, and here's a fire character who will do well against a non-fire weak enemy. Does that make sense? A little bit odd to say, but you know,
Happen as we move forward.
he
We
is
can also
cooking.
discuss the idea as well that there's never going to be a completely level and even playing field. I mean,
That is
sure,
true.
you have like the training environments and stuff, but in terms of the actual end game content in Zenless Zone Zero, it's always going to be tailored to a specific type.
Do you know what? That's the same for every game, but look, for now, or this point forward, let's try and avoid the whole, okay, here is going to be, we're going to compare every single game. I'm going to try and keep it to ZZZ only. That being said, it's hard to ignore that this happens for every game, because it does.
Of agent, be that Rupture, be that shilling a stun agent, or whatever it might be. There's never going to be a truly neutral situation.
Also, I have no idea what Ether Veil is.
Which means that the newer agents are always just going to benefit more. We're going to move on and talk more about stun agents and supports in just a moment after this quick reminder that you probably unsubscribed. Liking and subscribing is a great way to support creators like me on YouTube. You can also drop me a follow over on Twitch, and you can join the Discord, hang out with some cool, chill peeps. You can also look at stun agents. So let's take, for example, Chingy. So Chingy came out back in 1.1, and she definitely had her place at the time. In fact, she was like the best stun agent.
Even I know she's not that good. That's how... Yeah, moving on.
Then we have Lighter, who obviously was much better with fire and ice DPSs, but not necessarily better than Chingy at, providing a huge stun multiplier, which is what she does and still does. Then we got Trigger and Fufu, who can apply stun from off-field, as well as also
maybe get away from Fufu for Dylan,
or some of the time. So they're basically supports in their own right. And then we get Dylan, who is a pseudo support, but also provides a buff to the stun window, the stun time duration, and a free ultimate.
All those reasons you listed are pretty valid. But let's see how she does in, I don't know, next patch, maybe 2 patches from now. Because right now, obviously, a lot of the end game is going to be catered towards, here are the new units. Enjoy using the new units at a really good level. Oh, look how much damage they do. Look how well they perform. I wonder why that could be. That being said, I do find it hard to look at Dylan and go, yeah, you're going to be bad in about 4 months. Mostly because she's not called Hugo.
And now you would just never choose Chingy? Wild. It's crazy. It's a wild time to be alive. And by a wild time to be alive, what I do mean is a wild time to still be using Chingy. Or to have pulled Chingy on the rerun, which was, I think, back in 1.5 when Evelyn initially came out. And anyway, I guess where I'm going with this is it doesn't
also, I don't find
make
it fun.
That much sense.
That's another thing I should have mentioned. Don't pull for a character as well that you don't find fun. For example, I find Burners fun, I find Lighter fun. I can't wait to get a rerun of Lighter because I'll get him. Is he going to be the best stunner at that point? No. Am I going to have fun playing him? Hell yeah. All the time.
Pull for rerunning characters in Zenless Zone Zero pretty much ever, because they're just going to bring the power level up anyway, and you should focus on pulling for the newer characters. This isn't to say that there's no value whatsoever in rerunning characters. This isn't to say that sometimes a rerunning character won't be the best in slot for your particular...
Especially when they get buffs, like in 2.5. Now, whether those buffs are going to be good going forward remains to be seen. But my hope going forward for ZZZ is, okay, we're going to buff, say, we're going to buff Chingy, rerun Chingy at that time. Obviously not going to happen now because, she's been a rerun, she's not getting buffed, but who knows?
Situation.
Maybe sometime down in the future.
I think for most players, 90+% of the time, you should only really be considering the newer characters. And it kind of stings a little bit to say that.
It does.
But if Chingy was back around now to rerun in 2.5, there would be no point in pulling her. If Ellen is rerunning now in 2.4, which she is...
I was going to say which she is.
There is no point in pulling her. I think the only exception to this is probably going to be for the limited S-rank supports. And that's only because they have specific niches and they do really well within those.
I know Astra Yao. Astra Yao is meant to be good. I don't know how she's good. Everyone says, oh yeah, Astra Yao's like universally good, put her on a team. I don't see how, other than she enables, I think, 3 quick assists and quick swaps. I'm pretty sure you can still do that anyway. I'm very confused by that.
Niches, at least for User Heart and Lucia.
Okay, I was going to say a little bit quickly about Ellen. Thinking about it, she's getting another buff, which, hey, big props to the devs. I've talked about this in a different video. They looked at it and thought, okay, these buffs weren't enough. Here are some more. Which is great. I would prefer them getting 2 buffs rather than just going, who? Because that's going to feel really bad. I want them to buff all the units. Go, okay, yeah. Clearly these units need a buff, let's go buff them.
Like if you want to support a Rupture team, Lucy is a really great pickup. If you want to support an Anomaly team, then Yuzuha's a really good pickup. I would actually argue that Astra on another rerun, when she does come back again, bearing in mind she ran in 2.0, so we probably got a little bit of time now. Maybe we won't see her again until season 3 of Zenless Zone Zero. And at that point, we may very well have a better attacker support as well. So I mean, you do have your 3 limited.
Oh, she's an attack support. Okay, that's why she's good with Evelyn. Oh, okay. I kind of see it a bit now. Because I do have Evelyn, I do enjoy using Evelyn, but I don't have the best of teams when it comes to Evelyn. In fact, let me see if I can find the team presets. Okay, so these are the presets I've got saved. As you can tell by Evelyn, I have the best team saved. So I can see why Astra would really fit on that team. But it's kind of like, say Vivian, why would I need her when I have Vivian, I have Nicole? That's a good shell. And that's another good point. Just to go back to this as well, reruns a bait. I think her would be a bait for me in particular, because I already have a good team already built for Miyabi. Now, same with Lucia. Lucia's probably a good pickup for me for my Rupture teams. I forgot to pick her. Was because I don't like the playstyle. I say forgot. With Lucia, I don't like the playstyle. I don't like how she plays. I don't find her fun to play. As a character, she's whatever. That's why I didn't pull her. Going forward, I have to see how the game develops and evolves to see, okay, is Lucia still worth it?
Rank supports. Astra is the most flexible of the 3, i.e. she can flex the most into Rupture teams as well as flexing into Anomaly teams. And then she's also been designed.
So you see right there, it's kind of like, it started off as bait, now it's more kind of like, okay, I see the pull value creeping up.
To support attacker-based teams. I think Astra will always have a place, honestly, but there is a really small part of me that thinks that, yeah, if we do get another limited S-rank support, it is probably going to be for attacker-based teams. Will they be as good with Evelyn, for example, because of the chain attack stuff that Astra also provides? Probably not.
So,
no.
Okay, so that's why she's
and that means that Astra's going to maintain herself in that niche. But in almost every other niche,
I think a good thing to point out as well, think about it. Obviously, I don't have Astra. I can't really judge that much. Say we get another attack support character who does what Astra Yao does, but better. That's not to say Astra Yao's value isn't there. Like, oh, now she's bait to pull, don't get her. Because like you said, she can fit on nearly every team. She's flexible in that. You go and attacker, anomaly. So the value's still kind of there. If there's one thing we know about Hoyoverse, it's that they like making supports really fucking good. And I mean really good.
Attacker agents, anomaly agents, and stunners, all the characters are just not worth pulling 90% of the time. Except maybe Vivian. Now, I probably...
Just for that. I'm going to subscribe right now. Fucking based. Yo, ALG, I know you're not going to see this probably, but fucking dab me up. Fucking nice. Love that opinion.
Probably should have said this at the start. If you're waifu pulling, then waifu
I knew he was good.
Nuts. Like waifu pulling, very good. Waifu pulling, very based and fun. We love waifu pullers in the average life community. And to be clear as well, this is not me saying that you can't clear with specific agents. People are still clearing with standard DPSs like Piper.
Who's that Billy player who's just really fucking good with Billy?
Clear against Ice Week content that's built around attackers? Yeah, she can. But when that content becomes less and less frequent,
also getting
which
buffs.
is what the Zenless Zone Zero development team have decided that they will do, just becomes a much harder sell. Can you still push Ellen into that content, like the Thrall, and still succeed? Yes, you can. But you would have a much smoother time.
It just becomes a lot more sweatier, a lot more skill intensive. And the casuals aren't going to do that. And I think the reruns should be aimed, or these kind of discussions should be aimed at more of the casuals. Where it's, listen, get this character, like right now, get Banyway, he's going to be good. But, actually no, maybe not the casuals, he can be skillful, he's both try-hard and easy. Let me use another example. Let me use a better example. Let's say Miyabi. I said let's use a better example, Miyabi. No, let's take Yishwan. I think it's a case of, if Yishwan was to rerun in 2.6, would I recommend Yishwan? Yes, but I would also err on the side of, let's see what else happens before. Let's see if the value's still there, see what happens, because she's a good character, she's a fun, comfortable character. And when it comes to reruns, I think that is a good kind of guideline, or like a baseline to start with. It's how comfortable are they to play for newer players. If you were to recommend a character to a newer player, would you recommend Banua? Would you recommend, say, Trigger? That's what we've got to look at.
A newer agent who that fight is designed more around. And as they continue to push the shield mechanics in the boss fights and the buffs, it's probably not something that's going to go away.
Take Wandering Hunter, for example. Dylan isn't the best because he's resistant to physical, but, you know, she can still stun him.
But ALG, what about buffs? Yeah, the Zenless Zone Zero development team have been known to buff some of their older units. They have done that. Indeed, they have. But what's the guarantee that a particular character is going to get a buff? So if your character that you're considering...
Yeah, I want to be clear on that as well. When I talk about the buffs are a good thing. They're a good thing as long as for a character you want to get buffed, or you have who needs to be buffed. Example, Ellen.
Reruns, unless there's already an announced buff for that particular character, I honestly wouldn't consider it. I would honestly just press...
Exactly, I would rather... Going forward, I want them to announce, okay, here's the buff first, and then in the next patch or the next future patches, you rerun them. Don't rerun them and then go, oh, hey, by the way, on the day, here are some buffs. I think that's the wrong way to go about that.
Pause and just wait until something is confirmed while you could potentially pull for them, or honestly just draw a line under it and not consider it. Now, again... That
is also a good option. So, hey, this character's getting buffed. Oh, hey, this character's getting buffed. Getting buffed like if they're just working out and it's just Yid Harry with biceps like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 1970s. So it's just on that trend. It's a case of, okay, this character's getting buffed. Do I like that character? The answer is no, but no. For example, Soldier Zero. I like the look of Soldier Zero. I liked when I played her, she was fun. And I would consider doing it. The fact she's got a buff and she's getting buffed again makes me go, I know this could be bait. However, you know, I'll try that look. I'll run that gauntlet. But just because it's good for me doesn't mean it's good for you.
Just to come back to that idea, waifu pulling, obviously, you know, you always pull your waifus, but
also,
the buffs does not necessarily offset the fact that they've left characters behind, almost completely. And honestly, that's a design decision from the development team to do so. It's a design decision for them to push the power level up so fast, in particular for stunners recently, which is why, honestly, I'm making this video because people keep asking me about Dylan. But anyway, yes, that's about enough out of me, I think, on this one. Let me know what you guys think about all of this down below. As always, remember to like and subscribe. BetOnAverage.com on all your pulls. Pull responsibly. Stay weird. Bye. 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 Bye.
Yep, that's the best thing you can say. Pull responsibly. So the best thing you can say. Pull responsibly. Do your due diligence. Don't just leave it to the opinion of some random online going, hey, pull this character. They're pretty good. Don't leave it to a CC. For example, I'm pretty biased. Okay. Throughout that video, or throughout that reaction, I was talking about how I really want Burness. How I'm going to get Trigger. Like Soldier Zero. I'm biased towards me. If you ask me, should I pull these units? I'm probably going to say yes. But that's just because I'm biased. Don't just take my word for it. I might be going, hey, you should probably pull Orphe and Magus. You might not like the character. You might not like how they play. Just those are the things to be cautious of. At the end of the day, I can only suggest and recommend who I would pull for, but it's going to be a hint of bias. Make sure you're just careful with it. Anyway, that was a really good fucking video by ALG. Hopefully go and show them some love if you haven't already. Great fucking CC. I'm only saying this because they're English like me. Fucking what a great ass video.